Spirit Science, one of the biggest channels on the conspiracy side of YouTube. With a track record spanning well over a decade, it's surprising that more people on here haven't talked about their history. No doubt you've seen snippets of their content through the years, with a simple animation style to tell you about a supposedly untold history and how to open your spiritual side and become enlightened. A promise that humans have heard countless times. But what I thought was a goofy alternative science channel with crackpot stories turned out to be something much more concerning. Under the right light, you can see this as one of the biggest cults on YouTube, whose founder has a history befitting the role of a cult leader. Hospital heists.
Okay, I've infiltrated a hospital.
Celebrity Christs.
Emma Watson is the embodiment of Christ in woman.
Dangerous drugs.
These were the lessons that were revealed to me on this particular journey with the sacred plant medicine ayahuasca.
Time-traveling space Jews.
The first race were the Hebrews, coming from our future. Thoth says that they came from off-planet.
And, unfortunately, sexual assault. This is a story with a colorful cover, but grim pages. So get comfortable, grab yourself a cup of tea, as we dredge up the deranged past of Spirit Science's founder, Jordan Ducknich. Viewer discretion is, of course, advised. Born in 1992 in Winnipeg, Canada, Jordan claims that before he was even born, his father had committed.
When I was only a month after I had been conceived, because my biological father wanted my mom to have an abortion, and she wouldn't, and he killed himself. And that put tremendous trauma into both myself and my mom.
Jordan later mentions that his parents would take him to church when he was younger, though the household wasn't particularly religious. And this also implies that his mother later remarried, but this is all we have about his family life. In 2005, he created a Newgrounds account called Jordan D, making animations that were, I guess, about what you'd expect.
Wake up, you lazy bum. Kyrie, it was so cool. I was everywhere, and I saw you falling, and then I was falling, and made a huge splash in water, and it was cool.
Sora, are you sniffing purple leaves again?
No, they're fluffies. Hey, what are you guys doing? Why aren't you working? Why don't you like me, Kyrie? I'm cool, aren't I? My mom says I'm cool.
Despite the varying quality, Jordan befriended and worked with some of their top creators. Most notably, Oni NG.
We used to know this guy on Newgrounds.com called Jordan D. Okay, so he had a character on Newgrounds called Patchman. He made cartoons with this Patchman. They were really like childish and like just boring and generic, and nobody watched them. And then he decided, like, you know what? I'll just start a cult.
He was ugly too. We should probably bring that up.
That's what
He started a cult about. He called it Spirit Science. It's the most genius name ever because it makes people go, you know what? I'm spiritual and scientific. That's pretty. That I can relate to this.
Yeah. His trajectory seemed normal, similar to other success stories from Newgrounds. But his content took an unexpected turn in 2010. This is when he came across a certain book, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life by Drunvalo Melchizedek. Keep this name in mind.
I ended up animating 4 videos with Patchman total before I had my spiritual awakening. And then when I did, it was as if all of these different things all came together and were ready for me. Like my animation skill, the character, my inspiration, all of the material that I was, that I was learning. Drunvalo, Melchizedek, Flower of Life, the chakras, the Merkaba, the light body, like all of these like ancient human history movie. All of these things just came together and moved through me into a synchronized thing. But it was really this like crescendo of, like, I went through waves of being like super atheist through college and being like very fed up with just religions, and then everything flipped on its head and I started learning. I met someone who introduced me to energy, to Reiki, to the law of attraction, to the secret, to crystals, and suddenly it just was like reality opened out before me, and suddenly I had this new perspective on everything. Through a synchronicity, because I was learning this stuff, it turns out my mom was like secretly spiritual her whole life and never told me. And she dropped The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life on my lap one afternoon, and I read the first page and was instantly sold. It was just like, what is this? And why didn't you share it with me before? And she was like, you were meant to find it when you were meant to find it. I poured myself through the Flower of Life books for about 3 or 4 months straight and really just got so much out of it. In fact, it got to the point, like, I read them through, both volumes, a few times, and then it got to the point where I would just open it up and read randomly anything. And that was my nightly practice. I would probably spend an hour or two just opening up the book and just reading a couple of pages and then closing it and thinking about what I'd read, and then do that again on different, like, it was such a powerful book. And I started to have this feeling, this belief that was like, if everyone knew this, if this information was commonplace, if this was made available, like, I've never heard about this stuff, and I don't know anybody who has, but maybe that's just me. But if everyone knew this stuff, I feel like the world would change overnight.
This spiritual awakening led Jordan to animate and share what he'd learned, using animation to essentially repeat these strange theories. Almost none of what Spirit Science covers are Jordan's own ideas. They're just a hodgepodge duct-tape story he's made of a bunch of conspiracies he's seen, and made them more accessible by, essentially, and self-admittedly, ripping off extra credits format. Another successful YouTube channel at the time.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
A few of his Spirit Science videos managed to make the front page of Newgrounds, which led a lot of people to his YouTube channel. And it was there that he'd find unprecedented success. Around the start of 2012, Jordan created the YouTube channel Spirit Science. The first few videos were re-uploads from Newgrounds, but while they'd only get a few thousand views on Newgrounds, on YouTube, many of these videos reached over 1 million views. The most popular upload to this day is the Human History movie, where many of these strange beliefs reached a wider audience. Over the years, many skeptic channels found this and other videos and covered them, criticizing and poking fun at the fever dream they were watching. While I don't intend on debunking his videos, as that's a done-to-death topic and, in my opinion, a bit unnecessary, a lot of his claims are incredibly easy to disprove, I do want to highlight some of these outlandish claims. For starters, he believes that the pyramids of Giza are impossible for humans to build, and in fact, they were built from the top down.
The pyramids of Giza. There is no modern theory that accounts for how these could have been made. Individually, each block cannot be pulled even with 50 men pulling it, let alone drag it for hundreds of miles and then stack them on top of each other 450 feet in the air, in such a precise way that even modern technology can't achieve. The pyramids were also found to be built from the top down. The stones on top were placed first, which has baffled researchers ever since.
I don't need to tell you that that's not how buildings work. We're also apparently descended from Atlanteans, and
millions upon millions of Lemurians who had settled all across the planet began to be pulled toward Atlantis. A great migration began. However, the Lemurian body of consciousness had only reached the age of 12 as a planetary consciousness. Because we were right-brained, we were a female species, like a 12-year-old girl.
What an odd thing to say.
Jordan mentions this left-right male-female brain thing a lot, as you'll see. Again, keep this in mind. But we weren't alone in Atlantis. We were joined by 2 extraterrestrial neighbors, Martians and Space Jews.
2 extraterrestrial races stepped in. Not 1, but 2 completely different races. The first race were the Hebrews, coming from our future. Thoth says that they came from off-planet, but we don't know where exactly. The Hebrews were kind of like a kid who went through 5th grade and didn't make it, so they had to do that grade over again. They learned all the math, the left brain stuff, but they didn't get the right brain aspect of evolving consciousness, the doing. They didn't graduate to the next level of evolution, so they had to do it again. Perhaps Moses incarnated into that lifetime to free the Hebrews because they were not direct descendants of humans and were being treated unfairly.
The Martians were apparently a left brain people, and this caused problems.
The other race that stepped in caused big problems. These beings came from the nearby planet of Mars. When the Martians severed the love bond, they became pure male, logical beings with no emotions. What happened on Mars was that they ended up fighting. Mars became a battleground. When this happened on our evolutionary path, we now had the planetary consciousness of a 14-year-old girl. The Martians were an incredibly male species, and also very old. So what you had was a 14-year-old girl being taken over by a 60 or 70-year-old man. We had no choice in the matter. They didn't care what we thought or felt about it.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing. There's a lot more crazy ideas in this video, but I think you get the gist. Oftentimes he'll point to archaeologists finding X, or scientists know Y, but then never back it up with a source. However, one common source that he uses is Thoth, the Egyptian god of knowledge.
Thoth has also shared information about this with us. What I'm going to tell you is a mix of what these records say, along with what Thoth has told us. According to Thoth, Thoth says, according to Thoth...
But who is Thoth? It's Drunvalo Melchizedek, the author of the book Jordan read.
This is how Thoth was a priest king of Atlantis for thousands of years, and stayed on Earth until 15 years ago when he gave all of his memories and understanding about sacred geometry to a man named Drunvalo Melchizedek.
This guy is literally treated like an infallible and trustworthy god in Jordan's eyes. But I can understand, to an extent, why Jordan and others cling to these teachings. It's the conspiracy theory of everything. It connects everything from the pyramids to ancient aliens to the Bermuda Triangle to shadow governments. Apparently the Jewish question as well, but I'm not getting into that. It's a grand woven story that promises to tell you a story they don't want you to know, that you have the power to become a god. So Scientology or Mormonism with a different coat of paint. This is the extent of what most people know and remember about spirit science, and many stop paying attention after they'd had their fun. But this is far from the story's end. This is when harmless speculation becomes more extreme. In December of 2011, Jordan's second channel, Jordan Pierce, now named Jordan River, uploaded a now-deleted video of him infiltrating a hospital.
Okay, I've infiltrated a hospital to find out more about how this place works. I want to know what modern society knows about healing.
It features him filming an open-heart surgery, and then giving his thoughts.
From being at the hospital, I learned quite a few things about healing arts and what modern society knows and understands about healing. My first observation was the incredible lack of crystals.
Most people were obviously horrified that a hospital would let a random person walk into surgery.
This is actually a crime. Oh yeah, he's totally committing a crime here. Yeah, 100%. What?
But in a later video, he clarified that it was a freelance job he took to film the surgery. So I have to imagine what he filmed was for personal use.
How did I get into the hospital? Actually, I went in with the film crew because the surgeries always get filmed. It was kind of like a freelance job with the guy I'm staying with because he actually works for a video company.
He didn't do anything technically illegal here. Keep that phrase in mind. Speaking of not technically illegal, Jordan is a heavy proponent of Ayahuasca, which is a hallucinogenic compound used by many indigenous cultures to facilitate spiritual journeys. It's an extremely potent LSD whose benefits and risks are still being researched today, but it can come with some severe brain-cooking side effects. Essentially, this could end up being schizophrenia in a bottle. Jordan has reportedly taken this at least 40 times, according to his own followers.
I saw, this is one thing on his blog, he was talking about like using ayahuasca and other hallucinogenics out there, and he used them like before going to sleep. I was curious about like what your philosophy is on that. Like that seems, I mean to me that sounds like a lot. I've never really done a lot of hallucinogenics though, so I'm not sure what the whole experience is there.
He's gone to Rhythmia, that's a life advancement center out in Costa Rica. He's gone 10 times.
What is it called?
40 ayahuasca journeys.
Wow. 40 ayahuasca journeys?
It's called Rhythmia.
Rhythmia.
So what is this Rhythmia? It's a luxury retreat in Costa Rica, where white people dressed as indigenous shamans give you ayahuasca and babysit you while you trip balls. And you get a free lunch. All for the affordable price of $5,000. Drugs aren't cheap, I guess. Who knew? There's a video on the Spirit Science channel from late 2019 that goes over the experience, where he urges his followers to go there for a life-changing experience.
Rhythmia is available to you right now. If you're ready for this, click the link in the description and take action now. Now, you might be thinking, I can't afford it. And if that's the case right now, it's okay. Let me show you how you can, because the key is within you. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, which is limiting, ask yourself, how can I afford it? which opens the door of possibility for your own energy.
And possibly a cancer curing one.
One of the most memorable things is there was a woman who was purging a lot, and then after she was done purging, I was there for her, got her some tissue, give her a sip of water, and then she wanted to go out and watch the stars, you know, be outside, so I helped her outside. And then she told me, she said, I just purged out my cancer. And then after she went home, she ended up going to the doctor, and you know, the cancer was gone. And then she still comes back and she still does more work because there's always more healing to do.
Yes, Jordan is one of those people who believe crystals, meditation, and getting zoinked will cure any and all illnesses you may have. A modern-day snake oil salesman, I'm afraid. Surely that's as crazy as it gets, though, right?
Imagine yourself as someone who could actually be loved by someone like Emma Watson, who is, by all intents and purposes, a divine being. I had to make a video to declare, by the power vested in me, that Emma Watson is the embodiment of Christ in woman.
Oh, right. He thinks Emma Watson is a reincarnation of Jesus that he's in love with. In a now-deleted video, are you noticing a pattern here? A month after his video on Rhythmia, he talked about his psychedelic visions of Emma Watson.
Sometime toward the end of 2016, maybe beginning of 2017, 2.5 years ago, I had a psychedelic journey using psilocybin where I had this very profound, realistic experience really. It's like a visionary experience of Emma Watson and I talking. And then about a week later, I did some more psilocybin, and it happened again. But this time it was different. This time she was taking me somewhere to help resolve some life challenge and problem that I'd have. About a year later, I came to Rhythmia for the first time. Now I'm actually filming this at Rhythmia right now, and it's largely because of last night's ceremony. It was the first ceremony this week that I'm filming this, but we'll get there. I remember lying down at one point and I just felt this presence, like these eyes staring at me, like right here. And I'm like, huh? And I like sort of, with my mind's eye, kind of like turned my head, I guess, and like looked over, and it's Emma Watson staring at me. And I'm like, hi? Over the next year and a half, really, there have been countless dreams, psychedelic visions, and sometimes even just in regular meditation, where it's as if she just either appears in front of me or there's some vision with her, but it feels as real as sitting in front of someone and talking to them. Christ Sophia became the intention, and it was like that, because Jesus, I was talking to him and he was like, well, what do you want to know? He's like, you know me so well already. What more do you want in this moment? And I was like, I don't know, I just thought I'd call you in because everyone else was doing it. and he helped me basically say, look, you know the masculine Christ. It's time for you to learn the feminine Christ. Emma came back. And this time, it was different. It was just in a way of like honoring her as the Christ Sophia. And this knowing that I had to make a video to declare, by the power vested in me, that Emma Watson is the embodiment of Christ in woman. I had to make a video to share that and to say thank you. Emma Watson, if you're watching this, please know that you are so loved and so beautiful. And thank you.
Oh God, I think this guy gave himself an Emma Watson tulpa. In a follow-up video, he explains a bit more about what the hell he was talking about in this video.
Hey everyone. Before I get into this, I'd like to take a moment to add some clarification around the last video, an ode to Emma Watson. Now, I acknowledge, along with so many of you in the comments, that, yeah, okay, it's a little weird. I made the statement that Emma is the Christ Sophia, and didn't elaborate on the fact that Christ energy, whether masculine or feminine, is a consciousness, rather than a specific embodiment in one person. My expression that Emma is the Christ Sophia was to honor the light within her that shines so bright and so pure. So What is Christophia? Now that we've cleared up that a bit, I want to get into the greater theme and wisdom that came up for me during my Aya ceremonies at Rhythmia. Part of the journey was a revisit to my past and some big life events that happened many years ago. It's been very difficult to talk about, but it's one of those times when you have to roll up your sleeves and have the hard conversations. So here we go. Several years ago, I was publicly accused of raping an ex-girlfriend of mine online.
So the Emma Watson videos are deleted off of Spirit Science, but this portion of the video is still up, titled A Story of Healing and Toxic Sexuality. In it, Jordan brings light to accusations levied against him. His explanation of what happened is frustratingly vague, and although the words "I'm sorry" leave his lips,
while my partner at the time had consented, deep down she did not want to. She told me later that there was a part of her that wanted to give me what I wanted because she loved me and cared for me. But in her heart, she knew it was not right. Truly, had I been able to feel the depths that I do now, it never would have happened. To my ex-partner, I deeply apologize for my own insensitivity. I am sorry I was not able to comprehend that it was not right for us to be together at the time.
most of the video is excuses for why he did what he did, including, but not limited to, toxic masculinity, his father's death, believing sex had healing powers, believing that women were sex objects, because he was bullied as a kid, because he was also pressured by a male partner, because people forgot about Christophia, and because women are taught to become seductresses, or whatever that means. He also elaborates that his partner verbally consented, but later told him that she didn't want to, implying he didn't know there was an issue. The feedback on this video was surprisingly positive, with a lot of sympathetic and congratulatory comments. But every story has two sides, and the other side paints a much darker picture. The victim's blog, The Ghost, real name Tori McClellan, includes more details and a phone recording of a confession, which we'll play in a bit. Her testimony claims that in March of 2012, that's a month after the release of the Human History movie, for context, while traveling with Jordan and others in Portland, Oregon, he came into her room despite her wanting to be alone. Jordan then proceeded to ask for sex to heal her, which Tori said no to, but he kept asking. He started to remove their clothes, even as she continued, saying no. After a lot of continued persistence, she felt pressured to say okay, despite still crying the entire time. Jordan admits to this between two calls, which was recorded as evidence for her case 4.5 years later.
Clearly said no. I kept saying no. And I don't know, I just want to understand why. Like, I just want to be able to put the past behind us, behind this, and move forward, you know?
Yeah.
I just need to understand.
There's a combination of things, but the alchemical ingredients for what happened were really, one, how old was I, 20? Like, a 20-year-old boy who is overcome with desire for the most beautiful woman that he's ever met, and like, I don't know if you know, like, you've not experienced this, at least in this lifetime, but like, that particular age for men is like, they're just hormone sex machines. Like, that's the only thing that's on their mind.
But Jordan, like, I said no.
Jordan, I know, and I'm trying to answer your question. I'm trying to explain how we got here, from my understanding. And it really did come from love. And I know that that's not, it wasn't right. Clearly. as the results have demonstrated. But like the state that I was in was that I wanted to love you and I wanted to be loved by you. And I was completely overcome with lust. And that's entirely on me. And the part of it that's yours is that, I mean, yes, I asked a million times. And yes, you said no a million times. But at one point, you said yes. And that's what led to it happening. And if you can own that part of it, then it might become a lot easier to move forward with, is accepting that you did agree to it in the end.
I was crying the whole time. I
didn't know what you were crying about.
You didn't
I
know.
thought there was something else bothering you because you were, look, I don't know.
But you remember me crying. Don't you think that was like a bad time? Like I didn't really have I didn't have good judgment. Don't you think you should have stopped if I was crying?
I wish that I could have.
You just kept going. Just kept going until you finished.
I'm sorry.
So if he confessed to it on tape, did he get a conviction? No. Why? Because rather than using force, Jordan used alleged coercion, meaning getting the victim to verbally and involuntarily give consent. Involuntary consent kinda sounds like, but it doesn't meet the definition according to Oregon law. Because of this, the case couldn't be prosecuted. This doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it fueled people around Jordan to start calling Tori a liar and overdramatic. Again, despite Jordan clearly stating it was pressured. So in the end, Jordan didn't do anything technically illegal here. Once again. Despite Tori's blog stating that she was going to appeal the case and continue fighting, I couldn't find any more updates or details. The case has long since gone cold, but shouldn't be forgotten. On a well-deserved lighter note, Jordan has his own allegations that the deep state put a psychic anchor in him to make him do evil things. He covered this in a video posted in October 2022, titled The Psychic Attack Anchor That Almost Destroyed Spirit Science.
This is a story about my last ayahuasca ceremony. Now jumping right into the first ceremony, about an hour after drinking the first cup, I had not seen anything so far, but I began to feel this discomfort in my belly. It grew from discomfort into painful, and soon there I am writhing in agony. And I'm not receiving any clarity on what's going on. I'm just in a lot of pain. And so I prayed to God with all my heart. After maybe 10 minutes, God's representative appeared. He was like the harbinger of the supreme creative power, appearing as a mega ultimate super being who I understood to be the sun god, Ra, complete with anime-like super armor. And now suddenly we're in a big Hollywood movie. The super titan Ra then sends this gigantic chain whip straight into my belly, which latches onto something. And this freaking hulk of a god starts drawing out something incredibly dark and incredibly evil. You see, this was not just any ordinary psychic attack anchor created by your average spirit or malevolent wizard, but a particular psychic attack anchor put inside me by the deep state to stop me from becoming an ascended master. And it was a serious piece of work. Angels told me it was one of the most ultimate super weapons known in the astral universe. The way it worked was this. This anchor was entirely invisible and undetectable to me, and would supply my mind with exactly the right ingredients for a healthy mindset of self-loathing, feeding me thoughts and actions with the intention of having me completely ruin my own life for me. In this battle, I saw where this thing had come from. I had been targeted all the way back in 2012 on a night that I accidentally ate too much of a cannabis edible, which was very concentrated, but that hadn't been disclosed. So I ended up getting very paranoid that night, and I passed out in one of those basements that only had concrete and pipes all over the place. It was very freaky. And when I finally woke up, it was 2 days later. It was in that void space that the anchor was planted. Through me, this anchor wreaked havoc on my life. There were times where I published videos that I really shouldn't have. I got myself into partnerships, personally and professionally, that were unhealthy or even dangerous to be a part of, and said things about myself that were not true and caused so much damage, leading to a lot of bad energy swirling around me and building up some serious karmic debt. But the biggest help I ever got was going to Rhythmia enough times.
I don't know what these evil things are. He doesn't exactly elaborate. He said this came from a cannabis edible he ate in 2012, which was also the year that... Oh, he's not seriously blaming the rape allegation on the deep state, is he? I can't say for sure, so I'll just let you come to your own conclusions on that. Almost exactly a year later, Jordan sent out an email to his followers, claiming that he'd been stabbed. You might be wondering if it was another attempt by the deep state to kill this ascended master. I'm wondering that too, because he doesn't ever bring it up again, which is weird given how much this guy likes to overshare. The closest I found was in a video last September, making mentions of chest pain from a severe injury the year prior. Of course, his solution to this was a frequency healing device that was not so subtly promoted throughout the video, coming across as a paid advertisement, complete with a referral link, despite no clear disclosure. But what is this thing? It's a little device you clip onto yourself and claims to send small electrical pulses through your body with quantum science to heal it. The cheapest model comes in at $600 and goes up to $4,000, and piecemeals its functions through paid subscriptions ranging from $20 to $30 a month. According to a 2-part series from the YouTube channel Fern, this thing is a blatant, alleged scam, and I'd recommend going there if you want more information. Surprisingly, Jordan got a lot of pushback from his core audience, most likely due to the steep price. I even got to see him debating a lot of people in the comments, using his old mantra of everything you need is inside of you and the power of thought healing with retorts like, "But you need to eat food and breathe air. That comes from outside." Which, yeah, it obviously does, but I think this struck a chord with these people because they're seeing spirit science abandon former teachings in exchange for more snake oil shillings. Well, not former, he's still telling people that you can think away your cancer. Another paid promotion, mind you. And that's the strangest, and also maybe the funniest thing about this guy. The constant squeezing of money from his fanatic viewers. Ayahuasca trips, electro quantum clips, Patreon tips, book authorships, course mentorships, all of it to get that bag. YouTube is rife with shitty creator merchandise. This goes above and beyond. At least Logan Paul isn't telling people Prime is gonna cure your gout. But this gravy train is far from running out of coal. The Spirit Science channel currently sits close to 1.5 million subscribers, but their videos average maybe 20 to 50,000 views a video, with some outliers. Most of it is promoting courses, his own projects, end-time proclamations, or summoning the Joker.
I found myself in meditation on Saturday, being completely overwhelmed by visualizations of the Joker. And not just like Heath Ledger or Jack Nicholson Joker. I mean like the comic book super wicked Joker, just flooding my mind, flooding my thoughts, flooding my being.
Why so serious?
The comments are largely positive, and possibly botted, although I don't have anything on hand to prove that definitively. The channel looks like it's in decline, but there's still clearly a loyal fan base here, and a profitable one at that. That's why I point to this channel as a cult. Almost none of these ideas Jordan is pitching are original. What sets him apart is that he made them approachable, easy to digest with colorful animation and enough word jargon to stun-lock people into thinking he had a point. He's not just doing this on YouTube either. His 10 million follower group on Facebook and 1 million follower group on Instagram spam enough slop on there to occasionally go viral. It's a wide net, and you don't need to catch all the fish, just enough to feed yourself. But are these people just stupid? Well, that's part of it, but not the whole picture. Now more than ever, people are distrustful of authority and established organizations. Government, healthcare, science, and the like. There's a good reason for it too, there's plenty to criticize, but it often gets taken too far, which is where these conspiracy theories come from. Not all of them are fake either, and it is good to whistleblow, but the space is rife with lies and scams, telling people that all of these secret clubs are working hand in hand to keep the truth from you, and these benevolent philosopher-philanthropists will share these secrets for a price. It's not just gullible idiots, it's the desperate, the over-skeptical, and the powerless, just like any cult. When you feel like the establishment has failed you and there's no other option, the dogma people like this preach isn't just appealing. It might be the only hope you have, even if it is, ultimately, hollow. Jordan's story is not unique, another drug-fried, sex-obsessed, charismatic figurehead giving promises of ascension to his followers and heralding a coming doomsday. Thanks to the internet, though, he's become widespread to find followers all across the globe. I doubt this video is going to convince any of his followers, they're pretty set in their ways. All I can do is bring awareness to the story, outside eyes to an esoteric topic, and present the information so you can draw your own perspective. Jordan Ducknich has been around for a long time, and he's clearly not going anywhere. The story isn't over, but I don't think it's going to end well, one way or another. Take care.